Our next speaker is Aaron Ellis, and he's going to be telling us about whether, well, he's going to be asking whether entrepreneurs can change politics more than politicians can. So let's find out.
Hi, everyone. This is quite an old question in politics, but I think it's being given fresh relevance by sort of the crazy events of the last 2 years. But I want to try and approach it in a sort of new, unusual angle. There's quite a long history of entrepreneurs going into politics and shaking things up. In the United States recently, there's been Michael Bloomberg in New York, and obviously Donald Trump. And there are now rumors that Mark Zuckerberg is thinking of running for president in 2020. There's also a very old critique of entrepreneurs thinking that running a country is like running a business. Obama argues that there's a distinct difference between the two. Governing a democracy is messy. Today I want to talk about a trend in the opposite direction, which is politicos becoming entrepreneurs to try to create change that way. In January, Obama's old communications team launched a media company to try and help people become activists. I'm part of this trend. For years, I was a perfectly happy politico. In 2015, I managed a general election campaign. Last year, I ran to be a councillor. And I could have been on the verge of becoming an MP right now, but then this happened. And during the referendum, I realized that I cared more about Britain staying in the EU than I did about the success of the Tory party. And I worried about what Brexit said about our country. So I started a business to help progressives. So let's start from the beginning. Sociologists argue that human beings are HOMO DUPLEX. We exist as individuals, but also exist as part of larger groups, which give our lives a deeper meaning. The moral psychologist Jonathan Haidt argues that this explains our attachment to sports teams and religions and political parties. They make us feel that aside from our daily lives, we're part of something bigger than ourselves. Apparently this is what Disraeli said when he became Prime Minister for the first time. And it's how sort of most ordinary people think about politicians. They just want to climb to the top and satisfy their lust for power. But it's actually more complicated than that. Like thousands of others, I bought into this deal, which is in exchange for my free time and energy and putting up with bureaucratic feuds, I could slowly become more powerful and get a chance to implement my ideas to make the world a better place. But again, Brexit destroyed that deal for me. I found that I didn't care about the benefits of the deal anymore, so there was no reason for me to accept the costs, especially as the Tory party went hard to the right. Rather than join another party and sign a new deal, I decided to start my own business. Strategy was what I was good at, so by lending my skills to whichever cause or candidate I liked and making their lives easier, I felt I could create change. If I joined another party to try and change things, I would have run up against this fact, which is that political parties are bureaucracies, and they can frustrate fresh thinking and new ideas. In 2015, I was managing a campaign for the first time in my life. I was just 24, 25, and I had to deal with a local party that had lost every election since 1997, but believed that their retro way of doing things was the best and only way. When we had to send out letters asking for donations, the elderly agent and her husband were outraged that I had used bullet points to summarize why the election mattered, because they were used to sending out long letters. When the candidate and I decided to attack the Lib Dem with a leaflet tying him to a miliband, the agent and her husband were shocked by it because they believe you should avoid mentioning your opponent. After the election, I helped set up Launch 22 Liverpool, and I was introduced to a world of people who were breaking down barriers and trying new ideas, and their success or failure depended on how good they were at their job, and I realized that that was what I wanted for myself. So can my kind of entrepreneur change politics more than politicians can? Well, I'm sort of still figuring this out for myself, but more broadly, I think the answer is sort of. We live in a parliamentary democracy, so the only way to create change is by a political party winning enough MPs to form a government and turn their ideas into action. Although this is something that, say, Corbynistas struggle with, it's sort of an inescapable political fact. Yeah, I think someone like me or Crooked Media or any other politically minded entrepreneur can do is introduce innovation from outside and that way try and make the world a better place. Thank you.